News, Kansas News Leader.
This segment sponsored by Carlson Financial.
With inflation affecting how we spend our money, it's invaluable to plan, prioritize, and maybe creatively approach some of those financial challenges in order to maintain our standard of living during changing economic landscapes. Our financial expert, Carl Carlson, CEO and founder of Carlson Financial, is here with some practical advice. Things cost more.
Yes.
How do we adjust for that?
A lot more. So people are kind of having to shift around, and if you don't have a good focus, then you get behind too quickly. All of a sudden, whoa, we got all these credit cards that we ran up and now can't pay them. So you have to stop. You got to build a financial plan. If you already had one, rebuild it, and you need to look at your income, all your different incomes, your expenses, and then at the end of the day, is that number negative or positive? If it's positive barely, you got to start making some changes, and if it's negative, definitely.
Okay, but there's something a little bit counterintuitive here where you say that sometimes we need to prioritize, but sometimes having that negative number actually can be a positive thing. I don't get it.
I see it.
Why
though.
would it be a positive thing?
I see it because people get way more motivated, and when that's negative, there's something sparks in the head and sparks a lot of creativity to cure that issue. And I see people come up with a lot more solutions than someone that just has a little bit left over barely after their paycheck. Doesn't happen. So it just creates a lot of activity in the brain, and creativity is happening, and things begin to materialize.
All right, but I wouldn't want to get that to that point. I mean, there's a lot less stress if you don't get to that point. How do you set those priorities, and what are some things that you can do to not have to completely reinvent the wheel, totally change the way you're living? Some of those small steps that can be first steps. And is it a matter of just putting away less?
No, not necessarily.
We don't really want to put away
less.
No,
there's ways to keep saving as much as you have been, but now you need to look at how can I maintain my standard of living but reduce my expenses. So that can become the goal, and the way you do that is you start looking at key things that you can affect. And one of the first ones is if you have this massive cable bill every month, and that's I see it over $200 a month. Well, now with streaming, you can almost get all the channels that you could get.
Right, but on that note, not just the cable bill, but your streaming note, because if you're streaming 50 different services, suddenly you're way more than what cable is. So how many do you really need is kind of the point there.
Exactly, yep. And some people even now, you can get the real clear channels with rabbit ears. So, and some of the stations that you actually want.
WIBW TV and our digital channels, free every day on antenna. Go ahead. What other channels?
Those are ways that you can streamline. You just have to stop and add everything up, look at all the specifics. Even on your cable bill, you can call the cable company. Hey, I think I'm going to have to leave. This is too high. Oh, wait a minute. We have this package. We have this deal. We can lower your cable bill. Yeah, so all the little things you can do. Insurances are a big one. So if you haven't gone out and shopped your car insurance, your home insurance, often going to maybe an independent insurance agent that can shop various different companies. So now you can save maybe $50 a month, maybe $100, $200. I've seen savings of $300 a month. So just from shopping all of your insurances. So that's a big one too. Utility bills. How can I manage my utilities a little better? So there's just stop and look at all the different things you spend money on, and how can I affect each one a little bit without actually changing my standard of living.
Don't have to reinvent the wheel. And of course, those little things you always hear, like maybe you eat out 4 times a week instead of 5 times a week.
Yeah, or where you eat out. Some restaurants have gone up a lot with inflation. Others maybe not quite so much, so check it out.
All right, good advice as always, Carl. Appreciate it.
You bet.
We're going to have your forecast next.